Hi, welcome back everyone to a brand new episode of the Samantha K Experience. I am your host, Samantha K. Wow, it has been a busy week, y'all. I have to tell you. For starters, this is a special episode. I mean, to me, every episode is special, but this one is very special in particular because I'm going to talk about the retirement. The retirement. The see you later, bye, hasta luego, hasta la vista. Good luck to you in your future endeavors. The sudden retirement of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, former CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. Yes, the news dropped on Twitter, and Mr. McMahon wrote that at 77 years old, it was about time that he retired. And then he said, then, now, forever, and together. And I remember my reaction to it was like, holy shit. Like, after all of these years, I've been a wrestling fan in and out I can't even remember the first time I've actually watched wrestling. I know I was a kid and my dad used to watch wrestling, but as you know, he got older, he kind of was like, he fed into the whole, oh, it's not real, it's fake thing. And then, you know, the video with Larry Zbyszko talking to his opponent in the match, and people heard it, and that's when people realized that the matches weren't real, that everything was scripted. So that kind of put like that idea out there in the world that wrestling wasn't real, that it was a scripted weekly show that, for all intents and purposes, these performers put on. The winners are predetermined, and you know, whoever wins the belt is also predetermined as well. So things like that, you know, became a thing. But wow, Vince retiring from wrestling, it's in one part, I'm so happy about it because of the fact that, to be honest, if you haven't known what's been going on with WWE as of late, Vince has a bunch of charges on him. I shouldn't say charges, but he's under investigation. Now, they dropped the ball they dropped the hammer on him, so to speak. The Wall Street Journal had put out a report a short while ago, I believe early this month, about how it was rumored that the board of directors of WWE were looking into the fact that of some suspicious funds that were being used, that Vince used to pay off several women over the course of many years. I think it was totaled $12 million, or one of them he paid about maybe $3 million to keep their relationship quiet. And I think one was a former wrestler who a former female superstar that apparently he had some type of sort of sexual relationship with, and she left the company in 2005. So everyone and their mom is trying to figure out who the heck this woman is. And I don't really think that we need to know who the person is, because we don't need to have this poor woman's life turned upside down because of his foolishness. So basically, it all started with this investigation, and he removed himself as chairman or CEO of the company, and his daughter, who had Stephanie McMahon, who had took a leave of absence just a month prior, was then asked to come back and be interim CEO for the company. But now, since Vince has officially retired and he sent out a letter to everyone who works in the company this week, so it's now Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon are co-CEOs of WWE, and Triple H, who is Stephanie's husband, Paul Levesque, he's now assumed the role of head of talent relations, which was previously preoccupied by John Laurinaitis. And John Laurinaitis, if anyone doesn't know who he is the brother of the late Animal from the Road Warriors, and he's also the person who invented the diamond cutter, so to speak, that Diamond Dallas Page and also Randy Orton uses as a finisher, which is the RKO. He's supposed to be the creator of that said move, and he is also married to the Bella twins, Brie and Nikki Bella, excuse me. He's married to their mom. So it's been a lot. So he got taken down in the process of this situation too, because apparently the one woman that Vince had paid allegedly, I guess, the $3 million to, or someone else, it wasn't she didn't receive the $3 million, but I think she was the one that was a former intern or paralegal or something like that worked for the company, and she had gotten a pay raise from $100,000 to about $200,000 in under a year. And then I think once Vince got tired of her, he kind of threw her towards John Laurinaitis in a way. Apparently that Mr. Vince, his character or his personality or who he was as a person, it wasn't that far-fetched from what he played on TV back in the late 90s, early 2000s with the Attitude Era. I guess he's just as raunchy and I don't know, just crazy as he was as his Mr. McMahon character on screen. He had several things going on screen, like the Kiss My Ass Club. Used to have the girls wrestle in mud and all this other stuff. They had the bikini matches, and it was a lot of craziness in the Attitude Era back in the day of wrestling. I wouldn't say, a lot of people say that the Attitude Era was one of the best eras of professional wrestling at the time. Now looking back on it, it had its moments, but I really don't like the idea of having women parade on all floors and walk like a dog. I remember distinctly he had Trish Stratus bark like a dog and all this other nonsense, and I was like, what the entire hell? What are we doing as a people? And then when the company later on shifted to the PG era, I was just this ain't, a lot of the things got kind of soft and kind of less raunchy, but more for the whole family friendly take on professional wrestling, which I thought couldn't really work, because it's if you're hitting somebody with a chair and whatnot, that's still a level of violence. It's, to me, just some of it just didn't make any sense. But yeah, Vince officially has retired, and I think for professional wrestling on a whole, I think it's a blessing in disguise, just because of the fact that it doesn't feel like it's a genuine retirement, because he knew that something was coming, and there were rumors going around that he was that there was more stuff going to come out. And I guess he felt that it was best that rather than take down the company with his alleged bullshit, it was just best to just pack it in and call it a day. And besides, I kind of noticed that as of late, I think in the last couple of years, during the pandemic and and whatnot when they didn't have an audience to perform in front of in much of 2020 and 2021. I noticed that Vince didn't look all that well on screen. I mean, I understand like the man was in his 70s and stuff like that, but he just didn't look well. Like he looks like even the last time I saw him on TV or saw what he said on TV, when the day that the allegations came out, and he did SmackDown that particular same day that the allegations came out, he didn't look like he was well. Like he looked like somebody who was sick, but he looked like he'd been sick for a while, because it was always alleged that he was on the stuff, the juice, because he was a lot bigger in his 50s. And then when I look at him, I'm like, now he just looks really shriveled, like he stopped taking the juice, so to speak. And he just looks more, I wouldn't say completely shriveled. I mean, he does still look like he works out, but he wasn't as big as he was before. So I don't know if it's due to a lifestyle change, or it's just the fact that when you get old, you lose muscle mass and stuff like that. But he just didn't look right. And I kept on saying, you sure that he's not ill? But he still felt like he needed to work and be there behind the scenes and tell everyone what to do. On the same token, I am kind of sad because of the fact that he has been a fixture in a lot of people's lives since they were children. People who are my age and even a bit older, I would say maybe in their 60s or maybe pushing it into their 70s, grew up watching Vince McMahon, or grew up watching when his father was owner of the company back in the 80s until his death, and then Vince Jr. pretty much took over. Like, it's a family business. Like, his grandfather was a promoter, and then Vince Sr. became a promoter, and then Vince took the company and then made it into the global phenomenon that it is today. I mean, without Vince McMahon, there would never be a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. There'd never be a Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart, Mick Foley, The Undertaker, like the list goes on and on and on. Like, he's put people on the map in terms of their stardom, and especially guys like John Cena, Randy Orton, guys who are now like, who started off in like the early 2000s and whatnot, that are now in their 40s and whatnot, like Randy Orton and John Cena. You have them, now John Cena kind of like pulling back a little bit from wrestling. He's kind of like taking the same route as Dwayne Johnson now, so that you have more of a longevity and won't like hurt their bodies as much. And now Roman Reigns, who's The Rock's cousin, he's also like now starting to try to get into more acting and other things, like different ventures outside of wrestling, because everyone realizes that wrestling is not as long-term as they think it is anymore, and people do get injured, and with things like CTE running around affecting people's health and whatnot, no one wants to take the chance of, by the time they reach 50, they can't get out of bed. They're struggling with a lot of health issues as it is. There's a lot of injuries in professional wrestling, even though that it is a scripted show. A lot of the injuries are real, so I don't take that away from the performers. Like, if they do get head injuries, they get back injuries, leg injuries, arm injuries, hand injuries, they get everything. They get concussed a lot, doing a lot of high spots and stuff, or just accidental pickup and dropping the person and they land wrong. Like, a lot of things that can go wrong in professional wrestling. So I don't really say that it's really completely fake. I don't want to say that, but I would say, like, yes, the things are predetermined, yes. But overall, I do feel like, yes, it is sad that he had to go out this way. If he had went out like on his own terms, in terms of like there was no allegations against him, no investigations of him doing any wrongdoing or allegedly taking company money to pay off these women or whoever, he was having these sexual liaisons with. I honestly, I just feel like he should have just known better and used his own money and not potentially use any company money, because he wouldn't be in this spot in the first place. I'm not gonna say what he did was wrong. I mean, it is wrong. It's like essentially you're using your position of power to get, women or whatever. But what I would say is that I understand he's human, and Vince gonna do what Vince gonna do. I don't condone cheating on your significant other. There are also rumors that he and Linda weren't really together as much as people think they were. I mean, at that, so far we haven't heard a jack from her in terms of what's been going on since she took a step back from the company, and I think she sold her shares of the company years ago when she was running for Congress, and then when she was working for Trump. I forgot what department she was working for, but she removed herself pretty much from WWE and hasn't really been seen or heard from much. There's been only Shane, Stephanie, and Triple H and Vince that you hear mostly from these past few years, but nothing from Linda in terms of the company or even supporting the company in that regard. I think Linda knew what was up for a minute, and I think she was just like, you know what, he's just gonna do what the hell he's gonna do regardless. I can't speak for what goes on in Linda McMahon's mind. I don't know what she's gonna think or feel, or what she feels about the situation. I do know that I think that Vince does have some soul searching to do, and I think that he needs to figure out what his next move is gonna be, because if I'm not mistaken, there's a possibility that, who knows, she might even divorce him. And that's even more bread that he's going to lose as a result of this, because of the fact of the matter is, you've been unfaithful and you've been cheating on her for years, and now that it's come to light that it's not the happy-go-lucky family that everyone probably thought that they are. I mean, nobody's perfect. No family is perfect. I don't want to sit here and judge the McMahons because I don't know them like that. I don't have no affiliation with them, but I do feel that yes, he was wrong. He should own up to it. But the only reason why he's gonna retire now is because he doesn't want any more dirt to come out about what he's been doing. Can you imagine you as, you're his kid, right? You're Stephanie or Shane McMahon, and all of a sudden you're hearing your father allegedly paid this chick off from telling her story about her sleeping with him and all that other stuff. First of all, I'd have been one, grossed out. That's one. Two, embarrassed, because now I have to look at you like in some type of way, like, what are you doing? Like, not only are you offending my mother, but then again, who knows? Linda could have probably had this could have been an open marriage too. So we don't know. And I'm not gonna, I can't say anything if it's an open marriage. What I can speak on is the fact that if he's doing something and using company money to fund his foolishness, then he was wrong. And he should, be investigated and be penalized in whatever way he needs to be penalized. But I just find it funny that now it took, somebody had to know what Vince was doing and had to take him down. So I do feel like this was an inside job. I do feel like somebody knew the dirt, somebody close to him knew the dirt and dropped the hammer on him. And now, which made him ultimately had to retire because he was doing too much. What do I think about in terms of the future of the product? I hope the product gets better, because for years the product has been suffering. I think I quit watching wrestling sometime shortly after the passing of Eddie Guerrero, and I think I talked about this in a previous episode that I was covering wrestling. And I had said that I didn't like the fact that the wrestling had gotten so poor. Like, the women, like, I'm a big fan of professional wrestling in terms of women doing their thing, but they was giving them short matches. They're fighting over bullshit titles that don't really mean anything. And not just the women either. It was just like a lot of stuff that they did. Like, they don't continue storylines. They drop storylines. They drop characters 1 week. They say they're gonna introduce a character for like 5 weeks straight, and then when the character finally shows up, they completely change the character. The audience is not warming up to the character, so now they have to drop everything and go back to the drawing board. They have the script writing, like the promos are not all that great. The only people that they allow to pretty much run free and do whatever they want are the OGs that come back, like the Brocks, the Edges, and a few other people. Like, nobody else is really allowed to say what they want to say or allowed to build up on their character. Then you have the massive firings that happened in 2020. You had the firings that happened in 2021, a year to the day to be exact, which really pissed me off. It was like, because this shit was planned. And several firings, like, he fired so many people, and so many people got future endeavored and released. And I'm just like, why? A lot of these people weren't bad. Like, a lot of these people were not bad wrestlers. I just feel like, given the opportunity, they probably would have gotten better. But then he goes on, Vince goes on Pat McAfee's show and then start talking about how people were dead weight, so he just had to remove them. I said, wait a minute, hold on. Is it so much as that they're dead weight, or is that you hired these people with the notion of never using them just because you didn't want them to go to a rival company? So you had them just sit there in catering for years and years and years without no championship, no push, no nothing. But you expect them to be at every single show, and they're not allowed to leave the show until the show is entirely finished. And I'm like, how is that even fair to them? Now they have to go to another state or whatever. They have to provide their own transportation, because not everybody make that John Cena money or the Roman Reigns money or Undertaker money. Some of these people who are top tier have their own buses or have their own planes, you know, and have their own accommodations set up for them before they even get there. Whereas a wrestler who's making around average about $75,000 to $80,000 a year has to still go and provide their own transportation, book their own hotels, get their own food, and they still get treated like they gotta sit separately from everybody else. Like, I don't understand how this works as a company. You know, he runs it as if it's like a camp or something, like a low budget camp, which it's beyond me. I don't even understand how this works. I don't know. Like, I think with Vince, it was just a lot of shit going on. I think it was a lot of frat boy behavior. And honestly, with these changes now, I wouldn't be surprised that Kevin Dunn leaves or gets fired and Bruce Pritchard gets fired, because to be completely honest, the product is so bad. A lot of people sit there and say, oh, the product is not that bad as you think it is. I'm like, yes, it is. Like, you have wrestlers that are wrestling the same people week after week after week with no story progression, no nothing. Like, I remember how many times the Rey Mysterio and his son wrestled, who the hell was it? During 2020, I think they done wrestled, I think it was Andrade. It was Andrade and what is other guy name? Damn, I forgot his name. It was Andrade and oh god. They're part of Los Lotharios now, the guy, but Angel Garza. I'm like, how many times have those four wrestled in 1 year? Like, week after week after week. And I was like, to the point where, like, why are they wrestling again? Like, they will switch up and say, okay, it'll be Andrade versus Rey Mysterio, or Angel Garza versus Dominic in a singles match, and then the following week will be a team match, and then they switch off again with the singles match fighting the other person from 2 weeks before. Like, it was just so stupid. Like, they do things like that. And this was after they promised in 2018 in December that they were going to change up everything, and then things got progressively worse. I don't get it. Like, this man lost sight of professional wrestling for years. He got more focused on the flashiness and the flair of sports entertainment, not so much wrestling. Because even the matches, like, you will have like maybe a couple of matches on pay-per-view that actually was good. May not have had great story development, but they were relatively decent. But you could tell that a lot of times the show was just pretty much practically put together last minute and with some bubble gum and some duct tape and prayer. Like, it wasn't thought out or really, given much thought. The shows ran like as if this man changed his mind multiple times. It chaotic, didn't make much sense, stupid, and he just ruined things like NXT. I mean, I didn't even watch NXT like that, but knowing from a couple of the pay-per-views that I did see and then saw the transition from what it was to now what it's become, I'm like, this is crap. And releasing a lot of wrestlers that were from NXT all because of the fact that he didn't know how to use them. Didn't want to use them in the way that they should have been used. Like, he did a lot of shady shit. I mean, a lot of wrestlers do give him praise for giving them the opportunity, but in terms of actually giving most of them a shot and a push, no. It's like they just sat there and catering and festered. So I don't really feel bad that he's retiring. I think it's about time that he gives the reins over to someone that can actually turn this company around. And for God's sakes, make a stronger women's division. You got these girls, some of these girls that for all intents and purposes slack wrestle. You don't really show anybody what you can and can't do. Like, you have the staff, use them. Then what the hell are they there for? Just to look pretty? Like, not every girl needs to be in fishnets and have their booty cheeks hanging out, wearing some skimpy outfit and they breasts out all the time. Not everybody fits that theme. And I think there was a lot of things that he was doing that just didn't make any sense to me. Like, the show felt like it was written by somebody who was suffering from early onsets of dementia. I'm not to make light of it, but it's just like the way how he moved didn't make much sense to me. I just hope that in the end he sits down and he reflects on what he's done in these past umpteen amount of years. I'm thankful for a lot of the superstars that came and went under him, who made a name for themselves. I'm not thankful for screwing over a lot of them just for the sake of monetary gain. I'm not thankful for garbage matches. The disrespecting of a lot of the women wrestlers and treating them as nothing more than just eye candy, or hiring ones that clearly can't wrestle and having them go over other wrestlers that can and do have the talent over the sake of, because this one looks cuter than the other one. Like, for instance, you got Shayna Baszler, who's a former UFC or MMA fighter, your company. She was former NXT champion, women's champion. Why haven't she won a world title yet on either SmackDown or Raw? And she's been on the called up for about maybe 2 years now. Why Shayna Baszler has not been called up, bro? I mean, she's been called up, but why hasn't she won a championship? Why haven't you put her in a place that to make her and book her strong? Like, things like that, I don't understand. You're willing to push other people who are not all that good for the sake over somebody else because they don't look cute to you. Wrestling isn't supposed to be cute. It's supposed to be hard-hitting and gritty. But unfortunately, Vincent Kennedy McMahon lost sight of that. And that's unfortunate. Don't get me wrong, you have your beautiful girls, you had your Trish Stratus's, you had your Litas, you had your Stacy Keeblers, your Dawn Maries, Jacqueline, you had those type of girls running around. But not everybody fits that archetype. When you have people like Ember Moon, she doesn't fit that archetype, but she's attractive. You don't want to use her. And now she's onto better things now. He lost sight of it. He lost sight of what was important about wrestling. It just came all about the money. Didn't even give a shit about the fans. Because how many times the fans didn't want Roman Reigns winning a pay-per-view or winning a championship, but they forced Roman Reigns down people's throats for years. Even though that they didn't like him, they were forcing him down everyone's throat. And now look where he is now these days. He is the undisputed champion who barely had any title defenses since he unified the titles at WrestleMania. Make it make sense. Hopefully Stephanie and Nick Khan or whoever can change things around and for the better. Now that the old man is gone, good riddance to old rubbish. I hope he makes peace with himself before, he reaches his end of days. And that's it. Like, I can't say anything more. I'm just like in awe. It's been about 2 days and I'm still in awe that he decided to quit. Thank God. Because maybe they could have some pretty stiff competition against AEW and other wrestling promotions, and none of this whole, we can't mention former wrestlers that used to be there, or we can't mention titles from different organizations. Like, all of that foolishness is so stupid. We can't say certain words like title, or like, he had a list. The man was so anal. He had a list of words you cannot use as a commentator. If you're a commentator, you have a list of words that you cannot use on TV for whatever reason. And then he started copywriting stupidness. Like, he copyrighted a lot of the Cody Rhodes' dad stuff, like former stuff that Dustin Rhodes had. Now that Cody can't use it, I was like, but it's the family thing though. But according to Vince owns the rights to a lot of things, so he wanted to take over everyone's libraries. He owns WCW stuff and ECW stuff. It's not gonna take him much longer, or take anybody else much longer, to try to get own rights to Impact Wrestling. They can't get Ring of Honor because that's owned by AEW now. So they can't get that unless AEW sells the rights off, and then to some independent person who then sells the rights off to WWE, which I don't really see that happening in the near future. But you never know. But yeah, I really am still shocked, and I hope that he stays gone, because he's not good for this company anymore. He lost a lot of great talent that I now see wrestling on other shows and doing a lot and faring a lot better than they were when they were there. And all because he didn't know how to book people properly. He didn't know how to do matches properly. he just signed off on whatever and ripped up scripts and all this other stuff. And I said, well, you know what? Maybe it's time for you to stop, just to let it go. It's time for you to go. You know? So, like I said, good riddance. And that's all I have to say on Vince McMahon. But I am going to end the show on a good note. And I want to congratulate Cody Rhodes for winning his ESPY award recently, for coming back to WrestleMania and being Seth Rollins' surprise opponent at WrestleMania, because they put on a damn good match that night. And I think that was actually my favorite match of the night. You know, there was a lot of speculation on who was coming back, and a lot of people knew that it was Cody. A lot of people guessed it was Cody. A lot of people wasn't sure it was Cody coming back, since he left AEW and he had left WWE at 6 years prior. But he wanted to venture out on his own, build up his own company with his friends, and make something to like bring back wrestling as how wrestling used to be, with good storytelling. Now it's just, oh, we're beefing out of nowhere, and all of a sudden heel turns happen out of nowhere for no apparent reason, without no justification. Like, that's not how wrestling's supposed to be. You gotta tell a story, my guy. Like, what was this old man doing? Like, there was no, and then you have all of these writers who pretty much don't know their head from their ass. But anyway, I digress from that. Cody is a damn good storyteller. He likes to talk. He likes to do promo work. And for a guy who has a speech impediment, you barely hear it at times come up when he speaks. But I'm so proud of the fact that Cody has come into his own, and I'm in awe. Like, honestly, Cody from years ago is completely different from the Cody that he is now. Like, I'm sure his attitude is the same, but him being the way he is, like, he's wrestling royalty. Him, his brother, and his dad are wrestling royalty. You know, and I'm pretty sure that the late Dusty Rhodes is sitting there proud as hell of his boy, and his brother Dustin is just equally as proud of what his brother has done. You know, so congratulations to Cody Rhodes on winning his first ESPY award. I see big things for the American Nightmare. Hopefully he can win the title from Mr. Tribal Chief over here, who you know, makes sporadic appearances. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're becoming worse than Brock Lesnar now with these damn appearances. But yeah, that's another story I didn't want to get into. Like rumors about Brock leaving the show, quitting SmackDown before, because of Vince said he was leaving. I'm like, boo boo, cry me a river, Brock. Like, come on, seriously. But anyway, congratulations again to Cody Rhodes on winning his ESPY. Goodbye, Vince McMahon. Thank you for everything. See you later. Bye. And kick rocks at the same time with no shoes. Don't ever come back in wrestling, please. Don't even think about doing the XFL again either, because that was an ultimate fail. That's why you had to get Dwayne Johnson to go and buy in for the bullshit, and still it didn't get anywhere. It failed again. Your former partner, business manager, is also suing you for that as well, for money owed to him. You just dropping money everywhere you go, Vince. But like I said, guys, this has been the Samantha K Experience. I'm Samantha K, and I'm out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time. Peace.